OK, the Justice Secretary is meeting with senior judges today to discuss a mass pardon for those convicted in the Horizon scandal.
Well, in the studio with us is Charlie Rowley, who worked for Michael Gove. Charlie, this is appalling. And Bev was making the point, it's what's perhaps even more appalling, it has taken this TV drama to wake up the entire country to what is probably the biggest miscarriage of justice meted out by our courts in many a year.
Absolutely. It shouldn't have taken this long, and it's been an ongoing process through successive of governments. And for years and years, people who have been wrongly convicted, their reputations have been damaged, their lives have been turned upside down, their savings have been destroyed. People have died with convictions hanging over their head when they have been wrongly convicted. Those convictions need to be overturned immediately. Compensation needs to then get out of the door to do something which will go a little way to recompense those people that have been wrongly accused and convicted.
Charlie Faulkner, the former Labour Lord Chancellor, who's now in the House of Lords, he said if they brought the right legislation forward tomorrow, they could get it through in the same day and probably in through the House of Lords the next day. They're cleared by Friday.
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, there will be some ongoing conversation with the legal profession, because there may just be, to put the other side of the case forward, there may be circumstances or a case or two,
where
who knows, or one
postmaster may have been on the
one
fiddle.
Postmaster might have, dipped their hand in the till, as it were. But on the scale of which the amount of money that was accused of being lost, the amount of thousands of pounds that sub-postmasters and mistresses had to pay themselves because of a glitch in a faulty IT system run by Fujitsu, who should absolutely be stumping up the cash if they're at fault. This is not for the taxpayer necessarily in totality to stump up. Of course, it should go to the victims that are who are still there and to their families. But if Fujitsu have a significant part to play in the fault of that IT system, or knowledge that that system was faulty, and yet continue to tell
if they
the
knew,
post
it
office.
is a disgrace.
And that's the thing, if Fujitsu knew, and the post office itself knew that the system was faulty, but kept telling the postmasters and mistresses, no, you've got to, you're the only one that's in the wrong, we're not seeing this across the country. And that was part of the conversation. The post office were telling their staff, you are the only one that seems to have a fault, so it must be you. So you have to pay the cash that's missing. That is a total disgrace.
It's very much a morality tale of our times, this, Charlie, because for anybody that's ever sat on a hold trying to talk to a human being when you're dealing with a tech issue, we've all been there, whether it's sorting out your gas bill or trying to do something in the workplace. And in some ways, I love the fact that this story, as hideous as it is for all the people, and I think they should all be recompensed and have their reputations cleared, I like the fact that this is making us talk about a dystopian vision, because what was clear was there was no checks and balances. If that computer system was wrong, and those people literally went through a legal process and ended up in prison, and nobody was able to counter the misinformation that was upon which they were accused. I find that mind-blowing.
Well, it's the mentality of big corporations or big government departments of computer says no. And, of course we must be right because it's the post office or it's a government department. And it's a similar a situation that we saw and we're seeing with the blood-infected inquiry. It was the NHS and doctors and, public health thing that was sort of saying, no, it's all OK, nothing to see here. No, actually, the products were perfectly fine up until a point when we knew that they absolutely weren't. And those people still haven't been compensated.
But how can people trust the state if you've got that? Because you're right, the infected blood scandal, appalling. They're still sorting that out now, 30, 40 years later.
Yes, exactly. And we're not talking about, let's just remember, people that worked in the post office, they're not, architects of a great train robbery. These are people that worked in their local communities. These were
stalwarts of the local
stalwarts of their communities, ordinary, hard-working people that were just doing the right thing by their community, have been accused, wrongly, clearly, because of a computer glitch. But no one was prepared to listen to the person.
It's proper David and Goliath stuff, isn't it? And I think what it sort of tells me as well is that you've got these corporations with this enormous power, and you've got too many politicians who are intimidated, impressed by huge corporations, and possibly in the pocket of them as well, financially. It doesn't matter if it's a tech company or a pharmaceutical company or a building company. There's corruption at the heart of this for me, Charlie.
Well, there's certainly accountability that needs to be had as well. And I think, the longer Miss Venables hides from the media and doesn't make any kind of statement.
What a terrible woman.
I think, she'll become under even more pressure and is, igniting,
She's going to be stripped of that CB,
across
isn't she? She will be stripped of it.
I can't
The
see
Prime Minister's now backing it, and that committee of the 4 great members of the great good, they'll take it.
I just hope they don't use that as a bit of a token gesture to say they've done something, because that won't make any tangible difference to those people whose lives were ruined.
It won't bring back the family, for the families who lost 4 people who killed themselves, it won't bring them back.
I don't think they'll care about a CBE. Right, Charlie, good to see you, as always. Charlie Rowley there. A Fujitsu spokesman has said the current Post Office Horizon IT statutory inquiry is examining complex events stretching back over 20 years to understand who knew what, when and what they did with that knowledge.
Inquiries reinforced the devastating impact on postmasters' lives and that of their families, and Fujitsu has apologised for its role in their suffering. Yeah, well, let's see the colour of your money.
Yeah, absolutely. If there's any compensation that needs paying, it does not come out of the taxpayers' pockets. It comes out of the pockets of Fujitsu, who provided the technology.
We've already paid over £140 million, taxpayers.